It is the Frank and Friends show. Hi there, I'm Frank Murphy.
I'm Laura Beth Wells.
Welcome back, Laura Beth.
Glad to be back.
So delighted that you're here, filling in for my friend Kathryn Frady, who is off at Opéra Louisiane, doing Opéra Louisiane things.
I love it.
Yeah, she's took on
Sing out, Louise.
an additional job. In addition to running Marble City Opera in Knoxville, she now runs Opéra Louisiane in Baton Rouge.
Oh.
So, but if Kathryn were here, she, like me, would tell you to thank you for sharing, liking, and subscribing, especially to our YouTube channel. You are right on it. Frady is
Don't give me a prop.
Frady is going to be. I gave Laura some business, as we say in the. Here, I'll give you some business over here, as we say in show business. To subscribe and get the notifications on our YouTube channel. We do appreciate that very much. We also appreciate you supporting us by way of our merchandise. I love the beach towel. It's so soft and silky smooth, and I always get it upside down. So I'm going to have to I'm going to leave it on your side of the table.
Towel.
Maybe.
It was the less popular Beach Boys band.
Yes, they were a cover band of the Beach Boys. They just had songs like "Help Me, Rhoda."
The cover band, the towel, get it? Ha!
"Help Me, Rhoda." I get a square.
Can you spare a square?
We'll have an okay time instead of fun. All right, don't get me started. All right, here we go. Anyway.
Up in my hallway.
Oh. Brian Wilson is coming to the Tennessee Theater.
Ooh.
And he's also going to ETSU. They have a theater up there, like on the same leg of the tour, a couple of days apart. And PBS has some Brian Wilson show that I missed when it was on, but I've got the passport, so I can watch it whenever. Oh. If you're into Beach Boys and Brian Wilson-y stuff. I think he's at the Tennessee Theater on September 21st, if my savant-like memory is accurate. Okay, well, so I just drank my water too fast. You talk for a second. Well,
Roadhouse.
What's... is that a Patrick Swayze movie?
Yes. My husband David and I, this is sort of a running gag in our house. Anytime you can't think of anything, or if like something happens, like really any situation, you just go, Roadhouse.
Well, tell us about your fine husband, David. He's a pal, and I enjoy, one of my fondest memories of show business in Knoxville is getting to do a show with the Knoxville Symphony Orchestra starring David Crawford.
Mm-hmm.
Where
he's an opera singer.
He's an opera singer, and he was in this show, and I was the radio announcer at the front of it, and I was so excited because I saw on their notes when they were planning it, radio announcer, someone like a Frank Murphy. I'm like, well, why don't you just get the actual guy? And that's what they decided to do. And they needed someone with David's beautiful resonant voice to sing. They did a World War II flashback, song.
Yes.
I'll Be Home for Christmas, or that kind of thing.
It was the Christmas.
It was the Clayton holiday concert.
Yeah.
And maybe about almost 5 years ago now, but probably maybe 2018, 19, somewhere around there. And that was one of my highlights. I just loved it because I got a dressing room next to David's.
And you got to hear him warm up.
I got to hear him warm up. I got to watch him eat his potato chip. To lubricate the voice.
Yes.
To drink his solitary beer, to relax the voice after the show.
Exactly, yes. Yes, no, he's an opera singer, and he loves nothing more than teasing you about Billy Joel. He hates Billy Joel.
He razzes me. I mean, I love it. I feel bad playing the Billy Joel song so much on the radio. Now he's gotten into
your head.
But he's gotten into my head that I can't play a Billy Joel song on the radio without expecting a text from David Crawford of the Metropolitan Opera. I'm like, why? This guy who knows a thing or two about music is texting me, why are you playing so much Billy Joel? Why are you playing...
And he has this sort of deep voice. He can be sort of threatening.
Yes.
Without meaning to. The whole first 6 months we dated, I was like, oh, he's so mean. And no, he's not mean. He just sounds mean because he has a deep voice. But it comes in handy.
Oh, yeah.
He's the person that I make talk to people on the phone if I want to get something done.
I bet.
Because he can get customer service people to...
Well, here's one of my David Crawford impressions is, yes, David, about the plot of whatever opera it is. It's just, it's not about the day nothing happened, Frank. And then he'll call up and say, why are you playing so much Billy Joel? I'm like, oh. But I do have a theory, and David, this is for you, because I'm assuming this is the episode you're going to watch. My theory is that there's a oldie station or a classic hits station in New York, WCBS. Scott Shannon, 101.1, I think it is, whatever it is, WCBS FM. And it has become, over the years, the preeminent oldies/classic hit station in the country. So the songs that they choose to play or not play have an effect on everybody else, because not everybody can afford to do the research that WCBS does. But my theory is that when it comes to Billy Joel, WCBS throws the research out the window, and they figure, well, he's the local guy. It'd be like the station I work on, playing an extra Dolly Parton song or two, which we do. We play Jolene and 9 to 5, which is not really in the normal repertoire for.
But it's Dolly.
Yeah, but it's Dolly, So I think they must think the same way in New York. This song Moving Out, it's not very good, but it's Billy. Just put it on. We'll only. You know what we'll do? We'll moderate. We'll only play Billy Joel once an hour instead of. Maybe once every 45 minutes, because
hometown guy. No, that makes sense.
So I think other stations around the country, in fact, I know that some other stations around the country will look at that station or look at K Earth 101 in Los Angeles and think, they seem to be playing these songs more frequently. Let's play those. I'm like, no. But no one listens to me. They just want to play more Billy Joel.
They want to play more Billy Joel, which, oddly enough, I love Billy Joel.
Do you?
I love Billy Joel.
Because you want to be in the show. Move it out.
Well, there's a musical that has Billy Joel music in it, and
That's
it's
the
a
one,
musical.
isn't it?
Well, yeah, but there's a musical called Contact, which David thought was a musical version of that movie Contact.
Oh, about the first the aliens.
The aliens, which it's not at all. It's actually a fully choreographed through. There's no singing
Is it about an ophthalmologist? No. I put a lens in your eye.
But it's fully danced through. The woman in the yellow dress is sort of a famous track from that. But it's set to be. But that's another. But that's a funny thing about our relationship, is that I love Billy Joel, and so sometimes, because like with the Spotify, like if we're on the phone and another device pops on, I'll purposefully like turn mine on and put, because if I know he's listening to it, I'll.
I got a text. I got a text from him about you were listening to something on a car drive, and it was like. He's asking me to explain. You know this. There was you were listening to some on online stream that you were not expecting to hear Billy Joel.
Oh, it's Queen, the Queen station.
Or you should. All right, on the Queen station, you should get nothing but Queen songs. There's enough to go around. There's plenty of Queen songs. Why do you need to inject a Billy Joel song into that? And if you're going to inject a Billy Joel, a different artist in there, wouldn't you pick Elton John? David Bowie?
But like within an hour, there were like 4 Billy Joel songs on the Queen station on Spotify.
My theory is, if you're playing Queen, then any other artist should at least meet the flamboyant British criteria. How does Billy Joel...
Maybe like singer-songwriter, play the piano while I sing is the tie-in?
Do you think it's cruel of me to laugh every time I see the Billy Joel meme where it shows him at one of the stadium shows playing the piano and the harmonica at the same time, and they do a split screen with Darth Vader with his helmet off?
I haven't seen that one. I gotta find that.
So Billy Joel, because the lighting is terrible, right? He's like backlit, and his bald head is sweating and glistening, and he's at the piano, so his arms are like this, and he's got the mouthpiece with the harmonica. And it's a terrible picture of Billy Joel. It's a very unflattering picture of Billy Joel.
Sure, like the angles, yeah.
And then it's old Anakin at the end of whatever the third whatever Star Wars movie is, where they take his head off and he's like, and he can't breathe. And he's got the pale, looks like the old Mr. Freeze from Batman. That's.
I'll have to find that. No, I haven't seen that one. That's
anyway. So that's our Billy Joel chunk.
And to all you Billy Joel's fans out there, I'm so sorry.
So sorry.
I love Billy Joel.
So sorry. Now I enjoy Elvis, but I'm like, I think we talked about last week when you were here, that my music tastes have holes in them. So when I like an artist like an Elvis, who died before I cared, it's because I've grown to appreciate him after the fact. And frankly, what made me interested in Elvis is I worked on radio shows that liked making fun of Elvis. So during the 80s, we would joke about his extravagance and his 31 items on his shopping list that he always had to have on hand at Graceland around the clock. So whether it was his Phenamint laxative gum, or whether it was his Pepsi Cola, or the fresh made brownies, or the peanut butter and the bananas, all the things that you associate with the decadence of Elvis, I found fascinating. And we would go, I remember traveling to Graceland to do a live radio show outside of Graceland on the 10th anniversary of Elvis's death. And it was just a mob, it was a zoo, it was insane. celebrities dropping by to get on Radio Row and all these dozens of radio stations broadcasting from across the street of Graceland. It was insane. And I met Barbara Eden that way because she shows up and is doing she was like, I met Elvis. And I'm like, okay.
All right.
Put on the headphones. We're talking to you next. So I love all that nonsense. And when I was out in Oak Ridge the other day, after the Lavender Festival, we wanted to take grandson Artie to get some lunch. And I know that there's a hot dog joint in Solway, and they have the Elvis hot dog. And I thought this would be perfect for Artie, and I wanted to see how he'd react, because he won't eat a regular hot dog. It's not that he'll eat some meat, but for the most part, something about hot dogs don't appeal to him. He doesn't like the taste or anything. So I get a classic for myself, New York dog, which is spicy brown mustard and sauerkraut. And it tasted like my childhood. It tasted what I remembered, stadium hot dogs being like in New York when I grew up in New York. I don't know if I mentioned that to you, but I did.
I didn't know that.
It's New York suburbs. So that's all my area. But the Elvis hot dog, we order one for Artie. And I'm like, well, do you want the regular Elvis or do you want the deluxe? And he says he'll take the deluxe. Well, the waitress, I had mentioned to her last week, I said, I'm coming back with the kid who's going to eat the Elvis hot dog. And she recognized us, remembered us. And I don't know if she put some extra on it or she just made it special or she just made it she comes out, the deluxe Elvis.
What is a deluxe Elvis dog?
And imagine not one, but 2 hot dog buns, which I wasn't expecting, with peanut butter on them.
Get out.
And then an enormous banana that has been split like a banana split, but this banana was so big that each half of it was the size of like a regular banana. So now you've got 2 hot dog buns with a bed of peanut butter and 2 banana, each has with a banana half in it. And then marshmallow sauce, and that's the regular. Then to make it a deluxe, you add chocolate syrup and peanuts, whole peanuts on top. And he just dives right into it with a knife and a fork. He said, this is the best hot dog I've ever had. I love it. He was so happy.
It's like a banana split with bread.
Yeah, I think we have a picture. I think I'll see if I can put up a photo. I'm assuming. I don't know. I have a feeling we sent it to his mother anyway. I don't know if it was the smart move or not, but I feel like I can't remember what my wife did with the picture.
Look what he's eating while he's with Grandma.
Did you send me the picture? Oh, I can't remember what she did with the photo of the Elvis hot dog. I'll have to find it and show you, put it on the screen.
Oh, I would love that.
Because I know I have it of just his eyeballs. Oh, that's what I did with it. Once I start talking about it, I can remember where I've saved the picture because there's just too many.
That sounds good.
There's too many pictures,
I couldn't eat the whole thing.
Okay, so here's what I'll show on the screen. There's Artie and his hot dog.
Oh my gosh, that looks amazing.
And here he is diving in.
Yeah, no, we'll have to go.
And they have the best regular hot dogs too.
Oh, I have to go there. There's a pizza joint there, Little Nicky's.
Yeah, they're next door.
Is it next door? Oh,
yeah.
We love it. The gentleman who runs Little Nicky's calls David New York Dave.
Yeah.
Because we still have our New York exchanges on our cell phones.
Nice. There you go.
So the first time he called to order a pizza. Who I think his name is David actually.
Well, there's 2 guys because Nikki and his wife Dina have been down in Florida opening up a location down there, and so I think the guy who's running the shop locally is a David.
A David? But he said, "Where in New York you from? You got a New York State." And so now every time he makes it extra crispy for us because he knows that we like.
You can do that?
Yeah.
We're totally doing that
because
because
tell him to make it a little extra crispy.
Artie wants to go there for National Cannoli Day. So
we should go sometime. Lily loves that place.
Oh, okay.
Lily loves that.
Yeah,
pizza.
yeah. I mean, it's good. I met them. Somehow there was an ex-New Yorker meetup somewhere. This is several years ago, and these guys who now run Little Nicky's had a joint. One of the partners had a joint in Lenore City called Brooklyn Pizza, and it was so good. I would occasionally drive to Lenore City to get a slice. But the main reason that got me to come to this meetup was someone had imported a case of Drake's cakes. So I could have devil dogs and yodels.
Do you know I was in one of their commercials. I was in the devil dog commercial.
You know what? Now that you say this, I remember you sharing it on social media, and I was getting all excited.
I ate a lot of devil dogs that day.
So good.
They were really good. I mean,
some people find them, horrifically dry, the cake, but that's part of the charm.
Mine wasn't.
You drink compared to some of the other things.
Sure,
you take it with milk, it's just, that's part of the charm of it. I love it.
Yeah, it was a fun day.
I will buy a box of those anytime we drive through New York.
And I had a hard time not laughing at the guy in the duck suit, because we were supposed to be having like a birthday party.
Drake's Cakes, and a drake is a male duck.
I did get out of.
She beat me to it. Like a goose is a female, a gander is a male, a duck is a female, a drake is the male.
I didn't know that's why. Look at that. You learn something.
I mean, I think you can use obviously goose for all and duck for all of those fowl, but drake is specifically the male.
Cut out. Well, the guy was hysterical, and he'd come in and he'd like wiggle his little booty, and I hated to be that actor that we had to do a couple of takes because I just couldn't hold it together. It was so funny. It was so funny. It was a good time.
Well, now another reason why we bond. Well, we'll talk more about food in the second half of the show, because I have to tell you a story about going out to dinner with Artie Rocket and with the rest. Another effort where we made. Figured out a way to beat the system, and I'll share that with you. But speaking of being an actor, would you like to hold the skull?
Alas, poor Yorick. I knew him, Horatio. I don't know the rest. I should know.
Whether it is nobler in the mind. Anyway, Dr. Bill Bass is the genius of forensic anthropology, and this show is sponsored by bonezones.com. Don't forget the S, where you can get Dr. Bill Bass merchandise autographed by the great doctor, like he has signed this skull. And this T-shirt, you'll see, is the Body Farm T-shirt. His signature is imprinted on the back. And he'll sign T-shirts and stuff, but you really have to Scotch guard them and never really wear them if you don't want it to wear off. But that has some of the more popular stuff is that Body Farm stuff. But really, he's known for his books. So he literally wrote the textbook on human osteology. And he made it spiral so that you can work with one hand while you're studying a bone in the other hand. That's why it's spiral bound. That was the original version was not. So that was an innovation, and this is now, multiple years. So if you're studying the bones, this is your textbook. Or if you want to learn more about the Body Farm, Death's Acre is one of my favorites, because this tells the origin story of the Body Farm. Really? And the hardcover is out of print, but you can get it through bonezones.com, don't forget the S, and have it autographed and personalized. And there's also another nonfiction book called Beyond the Body Farm that has the story of exhuming the Big Bopper, and so many of the other fabulous stories of when he would go elsewhere in the country and in the world to study. And then there's all the murder mysteries, the Jefferson Bass, where John Jefferson and Dr. Bill Bass teamed up to become the author of Jefferson Bass, and this is the first of those murder mysteries, all set where you have Dr. Brockton is this imaginary character who has got the knowledge of Dr. Bass, but the daring do of John Jefferson. So I think this is the one in real life, John Jefferson went to a cockfight in Cock County, which would be like a male chicken. and chewed tobacco and vomited. Well, in the story, Dr. Brockton does all of those things, and people think Dr. Bass, did you really go to a cockfight? Did you really kiss a student? He's like, no, I didn't do any of that stuff. That's all John Jefferson. But you're aware of the Body Farm.
I am very much. When I went to UT as an undergrad, I lived in Andy Holt Apartments, which are some dorms there on campus, which they tore down.
For good reason.
It was old. It's sad when all the places that you used to, at a college that you haunted, or where they've torn them all down.
And also, you've lived the place for a while, you say, where Andy Holt used to be. Yeah.
Exactly.
Or where whatever used to be, yeah.
But when I first moved
Baptist Hospital used to be.
Exactly, right. When I first moved in, there was, I was like, what's that smell? It's like, oh, well, that's the Body Farm, and so
from across the river.
From across the river. So if the wind blew one way, you got the ag campus,
which is its
manure. Yes, and if the wind blew the other way, you got the Body Farm.
Oh, the sweet smell of
that sweet sort of
It's not a good sweet. It's a sickly sweet.
It's a very distinct odor
of decomposition.
That I've never actually been there, but I know exactly what it smells like, because for like 2.5 years.
From what I understand, I've never gotten any kind of cremated ashes wet, but from what I understand, that they'll when you get them wet, you get a bit of that, and the only way to fix it is to go have them re-cremated, go put them back in the oven. Really? I learned that from one of the people I've met through Dr. Bass is Helen, who runs the crematory down in Blount County.
Fascinating.
And so she told me that. I'm like, okay.
Don't get your ash and don't get granny wet.
Yeah, no. And the reason this even came up, and I know I'm a little on the Bone Zones jag, but when I took a tour of the crematory, Helen was showing me these water-soluble urns. They've got these plastic bags that will dissolve in water, and these cardboard urns that will dissolve in water, but there's a slight time delay so that they don't dissolve too quickly, because you want to make sure it's sunk. Like if you're dumping somebody's ashes in the lake or the ocean, you don't want to take the bag and get on every comedy movie, where Mr. Bean or whomever, don't do that, because first of all, you're going to be grossed out by the bone chunks, but secondly, you don't want to touch them. You want to let them in the water and just let them sink and let nature happen. Take care of it that way.
Sure.
Yeah. So that's part of the reason why they have all this technology to keep you from having to smell that and touch that. You don't want it.
Ashes to ashes, dust to dust.
All right. Bonezones.com. Don't forget the S. I'm not responsible if you forget the S. So, as you know, Kathryn Frady is here normally on the show. And in addition to the podcast, we do these adventures in Blount and Seymour Smokies Adventures in Sevier County is what I'm trying to say. So we filmed one. When we do these, we'll often do 2 or 3 episodes in a day because it's more efficient.
Giving away the magic.
Well, but we did 2 where we went to the island in Pigeon Forge, and we also went to Parrot Mountain, which is just gorgeous. If you like birds, if you're terrified of birds, well, then I can't help you. But so they give you. We did this pose for a picture, and you'll see this episode coming up. I think this will be the next one I get edited. I'm working on it now because there's a lot. We did a lot of. It's not like this show where we can just sit down and chat. There's a lot of cuts and a lot of take 2. Got to do that over. So this part here, I want to show you. You'll notice that we've got 9 birds on us. Okay, so there's Artie's got 3. He's got 1 in his hands and 2 on his shoulders. Kathryn has 3 on her arm, and I have.
I thought that was a stuffed animal.
No, these are live parrots. These are live birds.
That one too?
Yeah, he's trained to lay on this one. That one is trained to lay on his back and do that, and then they get a little treat. And the ones on my arm, they're free to walk about. And you'll notice if you see here, there's one. You can kind of make it out. You'll see this better when I get the video done. This cockatoo named Tidy is eating my head. Or appears to be eating my head. What Tidy is doing is licking the sweat off of my forehead because it was close to 100 degrees that day.
It was a tasty snack.
Yes. So Tidy found my head to be a salt lick. So they come and with the pictures made, they come to collect the birds and they get all of them, except Tidy then is on one shoulder. Tidy walks around to the other side of my head or on my back. And wants to lick that side, and the guy's like, I gotta get the bird back. I'm like, but the bird didn't want to go back. So we walked around and filmed for another 10 minutes with that bird walking around, crawling back and forth between my shoulders just to get as much sweat off my face.
Sheer animal magnetism.
That's what it was. That's good. I like that. I'm gonna put that on the bottom of the screen Why don't we put the episode out? Because the poor bird, I mean, I was soaked with sweat. So we have to bring a change of clothes then to go do the next episode at the island, which we picked because we could go inside the air conditioning for a little while. And you'll see those coming up in the weeks ahead. It takes, some time to turn them around. Well, after all of this, Kathryn goes home and we want to get some dinner. We've had a long day in Pigeon Forge, and it's 6 o'clock now. We've filmed these 2 episodes. Been there since, noon, I think, at least. And my wife says, we're getting dinner in here. I'm hungry. We're not going to go all the way home. And I'm like, oh, no, you realize that we're in Pigeon Forge. Yeah. It's the tourism capital of certainly of our area and within a several 100-mile radius. So we drive over to the old mill, and, it even says on Google Maps, busier than usual.
Oh, those are my favorite. But my favorite one is as busy as it gets.
Yes. So I'm looking for one of those. And And so we drive over to the Old Mill because we wanted to go there. It's one of those places that's on our short list of, I figured, yes, we could go to a national chain, but I don't want to go to a national chain because I don't drive over to Pigeon Forge, just for dinner.
Support local business too.
Yeah, support local business. So the Old Mill has gotten great reviews from our family members who've been there, and it's one of the ones that I just haven't gotten to yet. So we're driving around some more, looking for another place, and we end up at the new Guy Fieri's downtown Flavortown, which just had its grand opening, and it was in my brain because the PR people from the island had worked that event when Guy himself had come to town. And I don't know, I just the parking lot didn't look that full to me. Maybe I was crazy, maybe I misread the circumstances, but I get out of the car and I go walking into Guy Fieri's downtown Flavortown, and they said, oh yeah, it's a 2-hour wait.
I know.
And I'm like, well, of course it's a 2-hour wait. I'm here on the slowest night of the week, which is a Wednesday, but this place is enormous. It's like bowling and all these activities and things to do. He's got a car. He's got his car in there. So people didn't seem to be aligned.
Almost like a Hard Rock Cafe sort of situation, like an experience.
Yeah, like some of these places, you can see that there's a line at the front of at the mill. There's a line out the door, and you're like, oh, that's insane. I don't want to eat there. But the crowd was in doing other activities, waiting for their buzzer to go off or their thing. And I text my wife, 2-hour wait. And I don't even get a reply. I just see the car pull up in front. So I'm thinking, I gotta zig when we gotta zag. Because I mean, how long would you wouldn't wait?
I don't know. I don't know. I think it's from either living in New York for 15 years where, I don't wait for food. I don't, I will not, a half hour tops. And that's if somebody else is like, we have to wait. I want to eat. I much prefer to. I'm a cook. I like to cook.
Yeah.
And if it's too, I'll be like, no, let's just go home and I'll cook something. I should cook something for you sometime.
Oh, please! I would love that. Well, when I went to the Lavender Festival the other day, there was, I think, as many people waiting in line to get into Big Ed's for lunch, Big Ed's Pizza, as there were at the festival. I mean, we walked through that, and it was a mob of people. I'm like, is this the festival? Yeah. No, this is the line to get into Big Ed's Pizza.
Oh, yeah, no. I remember when I was doing Spider-Man
on Broadway.
On Broadway.
You should do that every time. On Broadway. I'll do it for you.
Our stage door was on 43rd Street, and if you went down to 8th Avenue from there, that's where the Shake Shack was. And there'd be a line around the block, and I just wanted to go to all those people and be like, I can name you, without even thinking hard, 10 other places where you can go and get a burger that's just as good, if not better, and you're not going to have to stand on the sidewalk.
And when they opened one of those in D.C., it was the same thing. It was just the trendy place to go, and everybody wanted to go to the trendy place. So I'm sure Guy Fieri is a fine... I've met him and interviewed him before he was famous, actually. I did a radio interview with him before diners, all that stuff. He does
a lot of philanthropy, doesn't he?
Yeah, and that's what he was in town promoting at the time. He was in town promoting a charitable event that had to do with food, and so I thought it was cool that I got to meet this guy, who now is Guy. But I thought, where else am I going to go? What are we going to do? We got to get food, and I guess at this point I'm ready to just cave and go to like Arby's, or something like that, because it's the same everywhere. There's no wait. But we're in this shopping mall, and I thought, Frady and I have been here before to film an episode about a restaurant that hasn't opened yet. We did a Cinco de Mayo party for a restaurant called Azul Cafe that is still under construction. But it occurred to me that the distillery that it's associated with, Junction 35 Distillery, it's on the sign it says Junction 35 Distillery in huge letters, and then over here it says End Kitchen. Wait a minute, End Kitchen. So I said, let's go over there and just see what it's like. All right, so we park the car, and we walk in, and she's like, how many? We say 3. She's like, okay, this way. And we sit down, and some of the hardcore regulars you can see who are there more for the whiskey than the food. But we ended up having delicious food with zero wait, and we were so tired and so hot and so exhausted and so miserable that you could tell the poor server, the waiter, he must have felt bad for us. He said, do you want anything to drink? Because that's what they sell, drinks only, right? Just water, please. He brought us the actual pitcher, his pitcher, the silver metal pitcher, the real pitcher, and just set it on the table.
Yeah.
And nobody else, I mean, I guess if you had asked, you could have gotten one, but he could tell that we were dehydrated and could barely speak.
That's a good, well, I used to do, when I was a server, I would do that all the, like, if you could, like, you can just tell, you're like, I'm going to be back and forth here, just take the jug, it's yours.
It made me happy.
Yeah.
It made me happy. I made our whole evening even more
to your
pleasant.
heart's content.
Yeah. So we ended up getting some decent meat. Already got some, kid thing off the kid menu, the chicken nuggets or fingers or whatever, and everybody went home happy and relieved.
Chickens have fingers?
Yes, I suppose. I guess so. That's a good question. They probably don't. No, I don't even think drakes have fingers, except in the cartoon when you can tell that they're wearing those. So that was my trick for.
That's a good trick, though. But they got being willing to roll with the punches, and you end up finding these little nuggets of joy that you wouldn't have gone there for the food.
Right, because it's a distillery, but it also happens to have a small seating area on the other side, and it was quite good. So I'd say go back, and then it seemed to get a little busier later, but
sure.
It's more of a bar, big TVs and actually a drinking bar and all that stuff. But it's been a fun challenge with Artie here because of the food that he loves. I mentioned the Elvis hot dog, right? How much he loved the banana with the marshmallow syrup and the peanut butter and the chocolate syrup. Well, I promised him that if my wife cooked out on the grill, that we could do s'mores. Or really, I don't even care about s'mores. I just like roasting marshmallows.
Yes.
But I don't have actual regular marshmallows. I'd been saving. Well, I didn't tell him that it was not from this past Easter, but from the Easter before. I didn't tell him that. I just said we saved it from Easter. A package of marshmallow peeps, which I love marshmallow peeps, and I currently only have. I don't think I have an emergency stash in the house, barely anymore, because we decided we would take them out to the fire and roast them.
Did they go up like a?
Oh, they're so good. Imagine like a brulee.
Oh yeah, because the sugar coating on the outside.
You can burn it, you can ruin them, but if you toast them in such a fashion, or actually if you can do it over the stove, or you have one of those little brulee guns.
Yeah.
If you do it so that all you're doing is caramelizing the sugar and making a crust on the outside, and then if you do it over the heat just right, you're softening the marshmallow on the inside and hardening the crust on the outside to get that experience, right? So that's all I need. I don't need anything. But Artie says, well, where are the graham crackers? I'm like,
He's a purist.
They're in the house. I said, and he says, and the chocolate. I said, we don't even have any chocolate. I think I'm pretty sure I ate all the chocolate that was in the house while my wife was out of town. And by pretty sure, I mean, I'm pretty sure.
You're pretty and you're sure.
Yeah. We had a few chocolate chips left from holiday baking that are gone now. I took a. What did I do with them? I think I mixed them into like with my figs or something like that. I don't even know.
Oh.
Yeah, it was insane. So what I said, go inside the house, and I said, we don't have any chocolate bars, but we might have some Hershey's syrup. So he comes. I know.
This is about to get messy.
Yeah. So he comes out with the graham crackers, and at this point I've put 2 toasted peeps on the paper plate, but they've solidified to the plate. You can't get them off the plate, so we have to start. So I just have to basically just eat them, break them off. So I make new ones, and they go on the graham cracker, and I close it up. He said, "Well, now there's no chocolate," so he starts pouring the chocolate sauce around the sides of it, and then the next one, he just wants to pour the chocolate on the roasted peep and put the lid on it, and it's getting on his shirt. We're doing it outside at least.
Down.
I did. Yeah. We were outside up in the garden, so I was able just to, but it was delicious. I mean,
that does sound good.
To me, the peep without anything else was enough. I tried one with the chocolate syrup and the graham cracker, and I'm like, well, it's okay, but it takes away from what I wanted, which was what I described, the crusty sugar and the soft marshmallow. Have
you tried some of the new flavors that they had?
I guess I technically tried one, but I'm not a fan of, and it might be one that it would be okay. There's probably one out there that I'd be okay with, but I like the regular plain. Just plain? We tried, we did a little, Lillian and I like to do taste test challenges. Like we'll get, we'll go to a supermarket or something and we'll get
different things that we've not tried, like snack foods and things, and do the and taste this
That's
and that.
fun.
It's a good time. And we did that with the Peeps this past year. We did there was the tropical ones,
Yes.
and there was the birthday cake.
Yeah, see, those to me look like they're probably cloyingly sweet.
They
like over
actually,
the top.
I liked them better. They were. I don't know if it's. Here's my theory though, because they're new, they're fresher.
Okay.
Like they only make so many of them. They're not like packaging the ones from last year.
Touching them and see if they bounce back.
Well, we tried the cinnamon ones, the Red Hots.
Yeah.
Also,
because that same company makes Mike and Ike's and Red Hots,
also
I think.
tasty. They were good. I liked them.
Really?
Yeah.
See, and I guess there was a time where it was the equation was flipped, and you could get Peeps flavored things. So I was up north and near a 7-Eleven, and they had a Marshmallow Peeps flavored Slurpee, and everyone says, you got to try it because you love Marshmallow Peeps. No, it was disgusting.
That sounds awful.
Because Peeps taste like they taste, right? Trying to make that as an artificial additive, it doesn't work. Because they don't really taste like anything. They just taste like sugar.
Yeah.
So you don't have to create a Peeps flavor. There isn't really not much flavor to them. It's all about the sweetness and the texture.
Yeah.
Right? So when you have a Slurpee, which is a frozen ice, and you're trying to make it taste like sugar with more sugar, yeah, it was horrible. So I guess that's why I'm turned off on the idea of flavored Peeps or Peeps flavored, both directions.
The only one that I didn't like was there was one that was it was a coffee. It was like a Dunkin' coffee flavored one, and those were or cappuccino or something like that.
I can picture them because
they were not very good, but the other ones were good.
Do you remember Kristen Farley, who used to be on the news on Channel 6? And her daughter is a theater kid, by the way. We'll talk about her in a minute off the show. But she, like me, is a Peeps, diehard Peeps, and she'll like all of them. And all the ones you're describing, I've seen her post pictures of them because she's tried them and enjoys most of them. And you look at someone like that, and you're like, how can you eat a Peep? I eat 3 Peeps. It doesn't seem fair.
It's the sweet. Lillian loves. She's got a big old sweet tooth. She loves sweet stuff.
Yeah, so it does sound like my grandson Artie and your daughter Lillian have a lot in common.
Get along.
Well, I've gotten along great with you, and I appreciate you sitting in for some episodes.
And
there will be more opportunities if you're welcome to come back if you're so inclined. We'd love to have you. Because Frady I mentioned she's got multiple jobs. In addition to, after Opéra Louisiane, she's got to go to Coastal Carolina University, and she's directing and teaching.
That's wonderful.
I think a Carmen production. I think is
that's
what's there.
That's what Dave's doing in Santa Fe right now. Is a Carmen.
That's fancy. Yeah. Is anything? You know what? Excuse me while I do a little bit of opera talk. I got so excited the other night because PBS said they were going to show a Rigoletto, and it was some version of it where it's set in like 1920s Germany or 1930s Germany, some kind of like, pre-World War II, Gestapo, bad setting. But for whatever reason, somebody made a mistake and put out the photo that went with the story was the Vegas Rat Pack version of Rigoletto.
Which is what Dave was in, yeah.
And it was so good. And I would watch that again, and anytime.
Yeah.
So I wonder if I can find that. Might be able to, if it's on PBS Great Performances, you might be able to see that.
It might be, or if you have the
Passport app.
Met Opera, the HD online, I think they may have.
Oh, you certainly can get it if you pay for Met Opera on demand.
Sure.
But I pay for PBS on demand. Okay, how many things can I pay for, Laura Beth? I mean,
I saw a thing not too long ago that was talking about how we're sort of like getting back, the whole point of all the streaming was to get away from cable.
The bundles,
and now we're sort of right back where we started. And,
because we were paying, we looked at our cable bill and thought, I don't want to pay, some people paying $100 a month. So now you look at how much you're paying each of the individual services, it's right back up to $100 a month. So you've got to get rid of something.
Yeah. But now I'm not a huge, I had not ever really seen an opera when Dave and I met. I had been
like most people, really.
But I've gotten pretty good, and he's pretty good to tell me. He'll be like, "Yeah, you can skip this one," or "Oh, this one's going to be really great. You'll like this one." And he does his thing where he gives me the brief.
Well, it's not the day nothing happened.
The day nothing happened. But that was one that I really enjoyed. I really liked that Rigoletto.
Yeah, if you can imagine, like a character who resembles Sinatra and Dean Martin and the Rat Pack, Joey Bishop, and even like a schleppy comedian who's kind of like a Rodney Dangerfield-ish, I guess, or Don Rickles-ish is the Rigoletto character, and it's so good.
It was a lot of fun. I liked it. I think some of the opera purists were not happy, but I'm not one of those people.
But they sang all the same words and the same notes and the same music. I mean, if you closed your eyes, you would not know.
But I think it's an interesting thing too, like being a theater person, where you have revivals where they really change the concept are much more common, and sort of accepted than in the opera world. I think it's very much like, oh well, it has to be. Yeah,
this is the score, and this is what the musicians are going to play. So you better sing this.
Yeah,
we're not going to go changing the Verdi's music around. Oh yeah, that's a song. Kiki D and Elton John, which turns up often on my little radio station that I work for. I'd rather hear that than Billy Joel, I'll tell you that. It's, I almost closed out the show by saying, 104.9 Lake FM, thanks for listening. But if you do like listening to things, I hope you'll also check out Audible, where you can try just tens of thousands of audiobooks, and there's always new ones, constantly new ones. Do you know Jeffrey Shearer? He's a local actor.
Yeah.
He is voicing an audiobook now.
I am amazed. I do voiceover a lot, but I'm a short form, like commercial kind of person. People who do, I have a lot of friends that do the audiobooks, and I am amazed by them. Work. And I love listening to them as well. I listen to them when I walk.
There you go. Well, that's a great thing with Audible. Get audibletrial.com/FrankandFriends-show. You help support us when you just get the 30-day free trial for a premium membership, where you get all the benefits of premium membership, including that 1 credit for 1 MP3 download per month. So during your first 30 days, you get it. Download something that you keep forever, regardless of whether you stick with Audible or not. You can still get that MP3 as their gift to you. But they're confident that you're going to want to stream audiobooks, custom entertainment, podcasts like this on all your different devices, whether you're in the car, whether you're taking a walk, whether you're laying in bed, whether you got the Amazon Alexa going, or you got the app on your phone, I think there's even all the different Fire tablets and sticks and all the different Amazon products, which I don't have those. I got the app, and I got the Alexa, which that works great on those, and saves your place across devices like a bookmark.
That's nice.
So it's good times. audibletrial.com/FrankandFriendsShow. And if you're so moved, and if you want to remember this moment with Laura Beth Wells forever with a commemorative mug or some other piece of merchandise, we have these little wine tumblers. We have pint glasses. We have, of course, the beach towel, which is, I've done enough with the beach towel, I think, for today. And the hats, the bucket hats, all these weird things. T-shirts, tank tops. There's a flowy tee, I call it, for the ladies. Ooh. A kind of flowy tee where you can get the logo. Go to frankandfriendshow.com/store, and we appreciate your support on that. You can also find links to all of our past episodes if we need to get caught up or just subscribe. Smash that button for notifications on our YouTube channel, and tell your friends about it. We do appreciate that very much, because that's one other way we can try to monetize this and buy more batteries for Laura Beth's microphone, is when you subscribe and get us over that 1,000 subscriber hump. We're just stuck in that 666 subscriber rut for a while. Nobody wants to be the one to subscribe.
Won't you be our one?
Please. Or be 10 of you. Get on there. Just get us past it. Once we get past that hurdle, there'll be another one down the road. But we got to get to 1,000 on YouTube to reach the next plateau of YouTubeness. So that's why.
YouTubiness.
I know we're making progress.
I love it.
I thought it would take less time than this. It is the Frank and Friends Show. The lovely Laura Beth Wells. We can find out more about you on your is it eponymous website? Is that how you would say that? Self-named website?
Oh, self-named. That's a fancy word for it.
I know, it's one of those ones that I've seen in writing, but I don't ever really hear anyone ever else pronounce it.
My website that I'm terrible about updating. I have to be better about that.
Oh, yes. Well, it's recent. It's got some stuff. It says, it mentions Patsy Cline on there, so that's recent. You can find
LauraBethWells.com.
Please. Or look her up on the socials, or better yet, go see her in a play. Right? Yeah. You're going to have stuff coming up, I hope, right?
I should do. The fall is congealing. So we'll see what the fall looks like. Yes, that's
why I got you here now, because you've got the free time. You say, Laura Beth sends me her schedule. She says, well, I've got, while Lily's at camp and David's doing opera, I'm kind of free week. But, or you can wait until And basically, it would have been mid-October or November before you get another breath in your schedule. So I thought, now, please, we'll do it now.
Do it now.
Well, I'm delighted that we did. It is the Frank and Friends Show. I'm Frank Murphy.
I'm Laura Beth Wells.
And we'll talk to you again next time.